Rev it up.
Rev up those Tide Pods.
You're good.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tater Talk, episode 52. It is February 20th. We finally got some action, big time offseason action. Usually does not take this long to get to it, but it did this time. But we do have a lot to talk about, some big signings, a couple big trades. But let me start off by introducing, we got the full trio today. We got myself, Justin Ledger. We got Trevor Story's biggest fan, Zach Hummel.
What's going on?
And we also got producer Graz, who's back on. So, Graz, how are you doing?
Happy it's spring.
Yeah. Well, the groundhog said that we're going to have a longer winter. So, technically, not spring yet.
It was 60 today.
Yeah. So, well, maybe the groundhog's full of shit. So, that's something to keep an eye out for. I think we're just going to jump right into it today. The Red Sox. Can I get a drum roll? The Red Sox have signed Eduardo Nunez. Eduardo Nunez is back with the Red Sox. Very exciting news. I know, Zach, as Red Sox fans, me and you, very excited about this signing. What are your thoughts on Eduardo Nunez?
Love the signing. I thought he was great for us last year. I think it gives us some insurance. You know, Pedroia, I don't want to say he's cooked, but I think he's pretty well baked at this point of his career. So I love the backup there. Nunez, a guy that hits well at Fenway Park. I loved him on last year's team. So I'm actually proud to be a Red Sox fan. That's why I'm rocking the hat. I was actually a little bit embarrassed to be a Red Sox fan for a while there in the offseason, but things are starting to happen. Dombrowski was waiting to see who was left on the heap, the stock heap. And, we got Nunez. We got our guy. So big free agent signing there.
That's right. The Red Sox got their bat. They got Eduardo Nunez. Bought Fenway. Oh my God, it's going to be rocking this year. When they announce him for the first time, now batting Eduardo Nunez, the place is going to go insane. It really is. So I'm excited about that. They got their big bat. And they also, drum roll, please. The Red Sox signed JD Martinez. It happened. All jokes aside, Eduardo Nunez, we love you. Eduardo, that's a great addition to the team. Pedroia, you might be right. He might be cooked. Hopefully he comes back from surgery strong and we get our classic Pedroia back before his career comes to a screeching halt, which it looks like he's reaching that soon. But JD Martinez is the big addition. This is something that we've been waiting for quite a while now. It took way too long to happen, but it did. That's all that matters. 5 years, $110 million. My opinion, I'll give my take first on this. I think that is a steal. I think Dombrowski did a great job with this signing, even though it took a little long. I know Scott Boras somewhere is pouting because he didn't get his mega contract. I mean, it's a big contract, don't get me wrong, but Scott Boras didn't get quite the deal that he probably thought he was going to get. We all knew that JD Martinez wasn't really worth a 7-year mega contract worth upwards of like $150 million. So I think 5 years, $110 million hits it right on the head. He's 30 years old, and he has an opt out after 2 years, which I actually like that too. I'm pretty sure it's a player opt out. So we'll see how JD Martinez likes Boston. I think he's gonna end up being a Boston kind of guy. He gives me that vibe. There's a lot of stories on the interwebs of JD Martinez going to Red Sox games. He actually went there for his 18th birthday. Fun fact. So it means something to him to be at Fenway Park. So we'll see how it goes. David Price apparently recruited him, of all people, to Boston. So that's interesting. Telling him that he's going to get booed at points, but to come here anyway. So Zach, take it away with what you think.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a great signing. And like you said, they got him on a deal. These free agent deals that have been going on the last couple of years has been absolutely insane. Some of the money some of these guys have gotten. So the fact that they got Martinez for 5 and 110, it's front loaded for the first 2 years, which I think is great. And then he can opt out after that third year. So I think it fits both the team and the player there. He to me is the best opposite field power hitter in the MLB, which absolutely. I love watching guys who spray the ball like that. We had it with Bill Miller, Michael All, guys like that. It was great watching those great Red Sox teams. They all hit to all fields, drove the ball. So I think we have that in Martinez. We got our big bat in the middle of the order for at least, 2 years here. And I think it really speaks to Dombrowski's win now mentality with this roster the way it is. They're going for it, and I wouldn't want it any other way. I'm excited. And if it means less playing time for Hanley Ramirez, I'm all for it.
All 2017, the complaint was they hit too many doubles. They don't hit it out of the park. That. I was one of those people. If you weren't one of those people, you weren't paying attention, because that was the downfall of the team, was not enough power in that lineup. So what does Dave Dombrowski do? He signs the best power bat on the market. And it seems like there's still people up in arms about this signing. Like, oh, why JD Martinez? This guy's done nothing in his career. You'll hear that if you tune into Felger and Maz. You'll hear that if you tune into, a lot of sports talk radio shows. They bash this guy, and they really shouldn't. To me, if you're bashing JD Martinez, saying he's not good to put into the middle of the lineup, you're admitting that you don't watch baseball outside of Red Sox games. Like, you haven't seen a Tigers game from 2014 to 2016. You didn't watch any of the Diamondbacks last year, which most people don't. But you're flat out admitting that you have no clue who this guy is. That's basically the way I look at it. Anyone with any knowledge of baseball, above average knowledge of baseball, knows that this is exactly what the Red Sox needed. He is going to have to prove himself, no doubt about that. Fenway, I don't know if it's the type of ballpark that he's going to be like a 40-plus homer guy in, because he's so oppo. And I don't know if he's going to blast many off like over the monster. But, you play half the season at Fenway, and he's going to be in some ballparks.
Yankee Stadium. I was just about to say that. So just saying, he is going to hit plenty of homers this year. That should not be a worry. Everyone should be pumped. And I don't want to get too much into the rest of the Red Sox, but the rest of the Red Sox have an expectation to take a leap forward this year. And I think having his bat in the middle of the lineup is going to help that happen. Yeah, it's one of these signings where it actually fits a need on the team. When we signed Sandoval and Hanley Ramirez back a couple of years ago, it's like, all right, we needed some bats, but those weren't really urgent areas of need, but we need this to be a championship team. So it's not, again, I hate when fans say it, but it really is true. It's not my money, and I want them to be as good as they can be because I'm a fan. Right. So when I pay to go see them, I want to see the best team. And I think JD Martinez is worth the money for at least these 2 years. I don't see any downside here, really. So I'm excited to watch him play, and we got our middle of the order bat.
Yeah, and I think the one questionable thing, if I had to pick one thing that's a little, I don't want to say it's weird about the signing, but it is going to be interesting to see how he fits. He's going to DH a lot, but he is an outfielder, and eventually you got to believe there's going to be injuries, whether it be to him or anyone else in that outfield. So is he going to become an outfielder for a long period of time at any point? And then you bring up the Hanley point. Alex Cora said today that he is the number 3 guy in that order. So that's going to be interesting to keep an eye on. Is Hanley going to be able to keep that number 3 spot, or is JD going to take over? Is Hanley going to have a shitty season, or is Moreland going to jump in because they just re-signed him and be the first baseman? Something's got to give, basically, in that lineup. Someone is going to be sort of kicked to the curb. And for right now, that's Moreland. But I'd be interested to see if and when that changes.
Definitely. I'm interested to hear about Graz. Does this make you a little bit nervous, Graz?
You guys already won the division, so that should make you nervous. There's still a 93-win team coming back with a David Price, who I think is the most important player that you guys will pay attention to all year. But it's what you needed, and congratulations. You're a big market team that finally decided to move your ass and sign someone. And no, I agree that you guys should have waited until the number came down. You got him at the right price. The problem is with these big signings, it's one of two ways. It's going to work out perfectly and be excellent, or terrible. There's never one of these signings that's like, oh, that's an average player. You're either getting, this great offensive weapon that he's been for the past couple of years, or you're going to get Carl Crawford. So get ready for it.
See, that was actually a rational take from a Yankee fan. I didn't really expect that, but I respect that, Cross. Now, like you said about the whole waiting for the right deal thing, that's exactly what it was. It wasn't really like, oh, we don't want to sign him. We don't want to sign him. It was, I think it was just Dave Dombrowski being smart and being like, fuck you, Scott Boras. We're not doing that for that absurd price. We're waiting this out as long as it has to be. And I think their side, Martinez and Boris's side, definitely felt the pressure as spring training's beginning. I don't know if you guys have any other takes on JD Martinez other than it is going to, in my opinion, reignite. I don't want to say the rivalry because it's just such a lame thing to be like, oh, the rivalry. Remember that Red Sox sweet rivalry with the 3 fire emojis? I'm not going to go that far, but I think the Red Sox and the Yankees are clearly going to be going at each other all season long for the top of that AL East. That might be exactly what it takes to bring a little fire back. So I think if I had to pick one storyline that this Martinez thing gets me excited for, it's not just the fact that Red Sox are going to be more competitive. It's that they're going to be more competitive with a stacked Yankees lineup. So that makes me happy. We're going to actually see a race in the AL East. At least I think so.
Yeah, my take on it's kind of a secondary take on JD Martinez. Like, I'm actually really surprised he chose to play in Boston. I mean, having the season he did and not going back to the Diamondbacks, which would be a comfort zone kind of thing for him, I think is pretty surprising for this day and age. So I'm just willing to see how he performs in Boston, how he deals with the media. I mean, like you said, Justin, it seems like he's made out to succeed here, but the jury's always out. We could have a Carl Crawford, Adrian Gonzalez situation, which I thought those would be okay fits, and they ended up being disasters. So.
Well, what's great is that we're going to find out very quickly how well he fits in Boston, because Boston doesn't give you a very big adjustment period. You better be good or at least have a good attitude right away, or else you're going to get hated on pretty quickly here. JD doesn't seem like much of an outspoken guy. I guess we'll find out more about him as the media talks to him more, but he doesn't seem like a guy who's going to talk very much. Very under the radar. I think those type of guys thrive here. AKA Chris Sale. Chris Sale's not a guy who likes to talk a lot. He likes to let his play do the talking. So I know JD Martinez isn't a psychopath like Chris Sale, so maybe he doesn't have that same competitive attitude, but we're going to find out very quickly. I think he's going to prove a lot of people wrong. I think around probably end of May is we're going to be like, okay, this guy's legit. Casual fans are going to be like, this guy is exactly what we needed. That's what I think. Yes, it's wishful thinking, but he does have a track record, and a lot of people think he doesn't. So that's what I'm trying to get at there.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So that's JD Martinez. We'll find out what he can do. I'm sure he's scheduled to speak with the media somewhat soon. I haven't seen any official announcements on that. I don't even know if the Red Sox have officially announced the deal yet.
It's still technically reported.
Yes. So there's that. So we'll move on to a couple moves by the Milwaukee Brewers that we actually haven't gotten to. It was like a month ago when they happened, but we do want to touch on them because they are pretty big deals. Christian Yelich and Lorenzo Cain. Yelich going via trade, of course, and Lorenzo Cain signing a 5-year, $80 million deal. That's a big money deal for Milwaukee. That's a lot of money to dish out as if you're on the Brewers. I mean, they don't dish that out normally. So, Brewers really trying to go for it, that NL Central. What was your take on these acquisitions, Zach?
Yeah, I'll start with Kane. I thought it was such a weird fit. Like, he doesn't strike me as a Milwaukee guy, right. But I think he just wanted to get his payday, which I totally understand for a guy like Kane who's sort of been underrated his whole career. I like when the Brewers are good, so it's just one of these weird teams where I just like when they're good. So the Brewers, I'm looking at their lineup now. They have a pretty stacked team.
Stacked, yeah.
Like, their pitching isn't great, their starting pitching, but they always make moves at the deadline. I remember that year they went and got Sabathia, I think, for like the second half of the year. So they're not afraid to do that. I was a little surprised that they got 2 outfield guys because I know they gave up Brinson in the Yelich deal, who is a big time prospect and didn't play overly well for them when he came up, but I thought they really liked Keon Broxton. He now takes a back seat and is sort of expendable there, but they go too deep at almost every position. And I'm a big Christian Yelich guy. I think he's going to really thrive there. So Brewers are definitely a team to watch in the NL Central there.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think they're going to have another season. They know, judging by last season, that they're competitive already. So getting a couple guys, putting that already pretty good lineup, that is going to help them a lot. They need the pitching. Good. What's good for them is they have a big time surplus of outfielders now, so they can deal a guy for whoever. I'm not really sure who's on the trade market for pitchers, but I'm sure they can find some trade partner with a decent pitcher. Like I thought they were going to maybe go for Odorizzi. I thought that was going to be a possibility, but he went to the Twins, which we'll get to in a little bit. But overall, yeah, I have no problem with these moves. I'm not huge on Lorenzo Cain. I really have never been huge on him, especially lately. I think he's on the tail end of his career, but again, good for him. Got his money. I think he's like 31 years old. So I think overall, I don't hate the move by the Brewers. They need a pitcher, or else the Cubs are still going to get the better of them in the Central. I do think they're going to end up taking second place as of today in the Central, compete for a wild card spot. So that's where I think this move puts them as in a similar position as last year, maybe a little bit better.
Yeah, exactly. I really like their bullpen too. Knable, and keep your eye on this guy, Josh Hader. Like he's a lefty, long-haired guy. He throws absolute gas as a lefty, and like no one really knows about him because no one really cares about the Brewers, but they'll have more eyeballs on him this year. So I think their bullpen will be a strong point for them.
Absolutely. And don't forget about Travis Shaw either. Travis Shaw is poised for another awesome year. He was great last year for the Brewers. So keep an eye out for him as well. Graz, do you have anything on Yelich and Kane?
The only thing you guys forgot to talk about is what is becoming more important in baseball is their defense of outfield is now absurd. And I know Lorenzo Cain might be coming down a little bit, but I don't think there'll be a dropped ball anywhere in the outfield this entire year with Yelich and Lorenzo Cain, and even an old Ryan Braun. Ryan Braun's still a good outfielder.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see if they do anything with Braun, or if because he's good. He's still a good trade chip, and that outfield is stacked. So Ryan Braun's a name. So if you want to move Ryan Braun for a pretty decent pitcher, I would not be shocked if they did that, whether it be now or during the season. I'd say keep an eye out for that. Braun is their franchise guy. He's like the face of the Brewers, but I still would not be shocked if there was a move to be made there.
Yeah, I mean, they got Domingo Santana, who hit 280, 30 home runs, 85 RBIs, backup right fielder for them. And Hernan Perez is like a solid player too. So they go 6 deep in the outfield with like MLB quality starters. So there's definitely some wiggle room there to deal.
Yeah, I mean, you can deal Braun and really not have a drop off in that outfield at this stage of his career, and he's going to bring you back a pretty solid pitcher. So if I was the Milwaukee Brewers GM, which I am very much not, that's probably what I would do. But I don't know. We'll see what happens there. Milwaukee is going to be interesting again, and that's really, if you're a Brewers fan, I think that's really all you care about. As long as you're competing, that's really all that matters. Another small market. What do you call the Brewers small market? I think they're starting to be not so much a small market team. I think they're probably in the middle of the pack, but a small market team that made a big market kind of deal is the San Diego Padres. Eric Hosmer is now a San Diego Padre. I don't want to brag or anything, but I called this months ago, and it was between them and the Royals. He signed to an 8-year, $144 million deal. So the Padres, they're just trying to be more interesting of a team. I think that lineup is not so bad. It really isn't. They're an up and coming team. They're not like a win now team, which makes the deal a little bit surprising. But if you're Eric Hosmer and you get 8 years, 144 mil to live in San Diego, you're taking that 10 times out of 10. So props to him.
Yeah, I thought this was a really surprising deal. The Padres do this every couple of years. They start to try to make some splashes. They did a couple years ago with who they signed, Kimbrel and Upton, and I think Kemp maybe as well. Mm-hmm. They just went all out, and they ended up trading half those guys. It's clear to me now that these Royals guys are sort of done winning. Speaking about Moustakas, Kane, and Hosmer, they're just trying to get their money because it looks like Moustakas probably isn't going to return to the Royals either.
Right.
So far, so like I said, props to Hosmer for getting his money. San Diego is a great place to live. 8-year deal is pretty long. I mean, he's turning 30 this year, so they're going to have him tied up till he's 38 years old, but at least they give him something to build around. They have, some decent, good young players. Margot, who is a Red Sox prospect's good. Will Myers is solid. Perella and left. So, Hosmer is not really that fourth hitter that you're looking for, like a JD Martinez type, but he's definitely a serviceable leader, which I think will go a long way in that locker room with the young players they have.
Yeah, don't be shocked if towards the end of that 8-year deal, the Padres start becoming a contending team. I'm not saying they're going to go to a World Series or anything like that, but 8 years is a long ass time to develop your team. And by the end of his term, he can become a leader over the course of that time, and he can become the veteran presence. He's not a great player. Eric Hosmer is a name, but he's not a great player. But he can become sort of a leader in that clubhouse that a lot of the young guys on the Padres need. So, yes, I mean, they overpaid for Hosmer. He's not worth 144 mil, but I think if you're going to sign a guy to a long-term deal, I have no problem with signing Hosmer 8 years. And on his end, I mean, there's not many places that could be better to live for 8 years than San Diego. So all around, I have no problem with this deal. It will be interesting to see Hosmer wearing a different uniform than a Kansas City Royals uniform. That's for sure.
You know who's on the fucking Padres now that I'm looking at their rotation? Matt Strom. That just, you know what? I'm totally out on the Padres now. They have no chance in the near future.
For anyone who doesn't know, we have a Dud of the Week award, and we named it after Matt Strom. It's the Matt Strom Award. That's who we named the Dud of the Week after. So that says everything that you need to know about Matt Strom. He did figure it out a little bit at the end of last year. I do want to point that out, but I need a full year out of Matt Strom. I'm the opposite of you. I'm all in on the Padres now that I know that they have Matt Strom.
This is a crazy thing, but Strom played for the Royals, right?
Yes.
Was he an intricate part of getting Hosmer to sign with the Padres?
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Knowing Hosmer was probably. I don't think you need to convince someone to sign with San Diego for that much amount of money, but I don't think. I think if Strom did reach out to him, it's like, hey, Eric, hey, come on, man.
Remember when I blew all those games last year?
Yeah, come join me. I think Hosmer would be like, all right, I'm signing back with Kansas City. But no, I do think I have no problem with the signing. I bet Padres fans are pumped that they're like, Eric Hosmer, we got a big name, big bat. So yeah, I actually, fun fact, visited San Diego this past week, and I can confirm that if I was Eric Hosmer, I would have taken that deal for half the money. It's so fucking awesome there, but that's a whole different story.
Is he a single guy, Eric Hosmer?
I think I always see him in Casey McDonald. She's with Nessa now. I think she dated Hosmer while she was in Kansas City. And then I saw on her Instagram story recently, they were smooching. So I think they have a little thing going on there. That's actually why I thought there was a chance maybe he comes to Boston. But Hosmer's going to do his own thing. He's not really hung up on Casey McDonald. Casey McDonald, you're gorgeous, but he's going to be out there in San Diego with some San Diego babes.
He's got road beef going on. Sorry to burst your bubble there.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry to break the news to you, but that's what's happening here with this San Diego signing. And actually, he was in the World Baseball Classic, and I'm just having this flashback now. They actually played at Petco Park for the World Baseball Classic. One of the rounds. I don't know what round, who they were playing, whatever, but he hit an absolute shot. I don't know if it was to win the game, tie the game, whatever. So Padres fans are going to be seeing a lot more of that these next 8 years. Long ass deal. It actually, one more thing. Sorry, I want to mention this one last thing. I mentioned how Hosmer is going to be the leader in that clubhouse. I don't know if it was the GM or if it was the coach. I forget who it was, but they straight up said that Will Myers is not a leader. They said it's not in his DNA to be a leader. So I'm glad that Hosmer is here to fill that role. I don't know if Will Myers is sitting there like, yeah, you're damn right, I'm not a leader, I can't do that. Or if he's going to be pissed now and be like, what the fuck did you just say that for? Because that's kind of a low blow coming from a higher up being like, oh yeah, this guy can't lead for shit. That's why we got Hosmer.
Yeah, Will Myers strikes me as kind of a douche, so
yeah,
I could totally see that.
He strikes me as he's a great player. Will Myers is an awesome player to watch. He strikes me as sort of a timid guy who cracks under the pressure and can't lead a clubhouse. He really does strike me as that guy. Remember when he was on the Rays, he was facing the Red Sox. He dropped 25 balls in the outfield in an inning. That was early in his career, obviously, but that's what I think of when I think of Will Myers. He's obviously improved since then, but that's just the automatic memory that comes with him, not the best memory to be associated with. Speaking of the Rays, they traded Jake Odorizzi, who has become one of the, he's not a premier pitcher or anything like that, but he is a good young pitcher, and he is now a member of the Minnesota Twins. So the Twins have an actual decent pitcher that they can throw out there, along with all the other young guys that they have in that rotation. I'm blanking on the friggin' guy's name who throws sliders that go from fucking the third base. Yeah, Jose Barrios. Yeah, that guy. And now Odorizzi at the top of that rotation could be pretty damn good. So I do think there's room there for the Twins to, now that they didn't sign like Darvish to a mega deal or anything like that, I do think there's room there for them to make a splash. One more splash to shore up that rotation, whether it be maybe an Arrieta, might be a little too much money there, or you can go with an Alex Cobb, a Lance Lynn, someone like that. It bolsters your rotation. It makes you more competitive, and I think the Twins are going to be competitive this year. So what is your take on this move to start off what the Rays did this past week?
Yeah, I mean, the Twins have a ton of power, so they just need to figure out the pitching. Like if you go, they have Irvin Santana too, who I guess they think is their number one. So if they go Santana, Barrios, Odorizzi, like that's in the AL, that's just not good enough right now, like pitching wise. So I don't hate Odorizzi. Obviously, we see him a lot with the Rays, but to me, he's just sort of a middle of the rotation guy. Like he's sort of like a Rick Porcello to me. Like it's just like not great stuff, but like we'll give you innings kind of thing, which is not terrible since the Twins didn't have to give up that much for this. But the Rays move that sort of took me by surprise. They DFA'd Corey Dickerson. Like, is there like any reasoning coming out of Tampa Bay for that? Because he was great for them last year.
Yeah, you know what? I was waiting for a follow-up. Like if there was a falling out of some sorts, like there had to be a deeper reason behind this. And it hasn't come out. It's just they straight up DFA'd this guy who hit like 30 home runs for them last year. He's not the greatest outfielder, but he's going to hit bombs for you. And if you're Tampa Bay, you need that guy. You just got rid of Longoria. Like, why are you getting rid of Dickerson now? You have no offense whatsoever. So I don't understand that. And they think that getting CJ Cron from the Angels is going to solve that. This guy, CJ Cron, stinks. That guy straight up stinks. And Corey Dickerson, he was really the only thing you had going for you offensively anymore, like at that point. So the Rays, I think they're the losers of the offseason. Off the top of my head, based off all these moves, I really don't know what they're doing. I have no idea. Chris Archer has to be beside himself.
Yeah, I never know what the Rays are doing. They traded one of their best pitchers. They got CJ Cron, who's absolutely terrible, out of shape, unathletic, and Dickerson, who they had on a team-friendly contract, and he hit like 30 home runs for them last year.
He was an all-star. He was an all-star last year. Makes zero sense.
Yeah.
So that was questionable. I was saying since the Diamondbacks lost out on the JD Martinez sweepstakes, I think they should go for Dickerson now. He's not the same bat that JD Martinez is. He's kind of the same, like it's the same formula of a player. Like he's the same. He's like a JD Martinez prototype almost. He's not as good, don't get me wrong, but he is a slugger. He's not a great defensive player, but he is going to hit some bombs for you. I'd keep an eye out. I know the D-backs just signed Jared Dyson to a 2-year deal, but that's not the same type of player as Corey Dickerson. So I'd be interested to see if they do make a move now that Dickerson's been DFA'd. Plenty of teams would love to have him, but I think, again, if you're the D-backs and you just lost out on a Martinez, why not get Dickerson? Same type of guy, a little worse, like he's worse, but you can get him much, much cheaper. So that is something I would keep an eye on. Roz, you got anything on this Rays stuff? I'm interested to hear what you say, since, I mean, we're all AL East guys here.
Rays stuff. Breaking news: he's talking to the Tigers. Corey Dickerson. That's
Corey Dickerson is. That's another good fit though for him.
Yeah,
I mean, they're gonna suck, but
you know what? You can get some money because they have the money to throw around.
Yeah.
The thing with the Rays is you just feel like they don't know what they're doing, and then all of a sudden they won like 8 games in a row. Like that. You know how they do that? And then they go on these runs where they're like they won like 80 games, and you're like, I don't know anyone on this roster except Evan Longoria, and they now got rid of Evan Longoria too. Yeah. I think they're officially selling. I would not be surprised. Here's my first of many predictions on this podcast if they move Archer before the deadline.
Yeah, oh yeah. I would not be shocked either. That's been a long time coming, I think. I actually expected that to happen last year.
Yeah.
That was one of the shockers, I thought, at the deadline that he didn't get moved. But like, as you said about the Rays pulling off these runs every now and then, I think that I don't think that's going to be the case this year. They are going to be god-awful this season, like straight up garbage. I think they finish in last place. I think I said that before last year too. I don't have the AL East in. Did they finish last year?
I don't have.
Don't have it in front of me, but I know. I mean, like the rest of the AL East was trash last year, outside of the Red Sox and the Yankees. So I'm interested. I'm pretty sure they didn't come in last, though.
I actually don't hate their roster. Like I think it's what Graz said. Like
they got Lucas Duda, right?
I don't know, but I like Arroyo, the kid they got for Longoria. They have okay pitching, like Archer, Snell. They have Nathan Eovaldi for like God knows where he's been.
That guy stinks.
Yeah. I don't know. They just like are one of these teams where they have shitty ass players, but they win like 80 games, and you're like, how did they do that?
They won 80 games last year. They were in third. Baltimore finished in last.
That's so strange to me how Rays didn't finish in last year. That was like
happen again.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's gonna happen. I think it's gonna be. I think it's. I don't know. I guess the rest of the AL East is kind of just like you throw it up in the air and whatever happens happens. But the Rays are gonna fucking suck, dude. There's gonna be.
I do not condone gambling. My brother just went to Vegas, but I will bet $1 the Rays do not finish in last on this podcast right now.
I'll make that bet, Ross. I'll make that bet. Okay. $1 bet. I like it. Yeah.
God, that's degenerate central when you're betting on the Rays.
Yeah.
To not be the worst.
Yeah.
Is it possible to be a degenerate from a $1 bet though? Like, is that if you're making like a lot of $1 bets, I guess, like I think
it adds up.
We can go down that path so fast that I might have to refuse some $1 bets in the future.
I have a question for you guys now because it kind of relates to this. I have a prediction that the AL playoffs will be exactly the same as they were last year. All 5 teams will be
matchups and everything.
Not matchups, no, but the same 5 teams will be in. I don't know what order.
I think that's
I'm wondering
fair.
if you guys will agree because I think the Twins are better, and then the Yankees and Red Sox are better, and those are the 2. And then Cleveland is far and away the best team in the Central, and the Astros might win the World Series again.
I was just about to say, look out for the Mariners, and I fucking caught myself.
Don't fucking do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
No, I'm not doing it this year. I already told you months ago I can't go down the Mariners path again. I have put so many years in believing in the Mariners. They have broken my heart so many times. You want to talk about being a degenerate? Believe in the Mariners for a few years. Yeah, not going down that path. But yeah, Graz, I think I completely agree with you there. I'm not going to bet with you on that one. I think those are clearly, I think it's all those last year's playoff teams and then everybody else still. So, Zach, I don't know if you have a difference of opinion there, but that's how I think I agree with Graz here.
Yeah, I think it's really the top 4 teams. It's the Astros, Indians, Red Sox, Yankees, and it's a bunch of shit. But I think the Angels have a chance to be better than the Twins. So,
okay, yes, I was going to say the Angels. The Angels have made some moves that were pretty eye-opening this offseason. So if there was one team to kind of break that all up, I think it is the Angels because they actually should have made it last year. Mike Trout was out for a good portion of the season, and they still almost made a playoff run. So as long as everyone stays healthy on that team, they got better this offseason. So that's the one team I think could break it up. Otherwise, I agree with Graz. It's going to be a very similar playoff field, I think. All right, so let's get to Yu Darvish now. Yu Darvish signed a deal that I don't have in front of me, the terms, but he signed with the Cubs. That's really all that matters. And that is what I think keeps the Cubs ahead of the Brewers. If the Brewers do get a top tier guy like Arrieta, I think that does make things interesting. But for now, I think Darvish keeps the Cubs in first place in that division. Do you guys think, now that Darvish, first off, do you think Darvish is better than Arrieta? Like, that's my first question here. I think it's very, very, very close.
Yeah, that's like a flip of a coin.
Yeah, so I think what I'm trying to get at there is I think it's a fantastic replacement for Arrieta. I don't think they really blink an eye in that rotation. I think they just keep doing what they've been doing. Now, my other question is, where do you guys think Arrieta goes now that he's clearly not going back to the Cubs?
Yeah, there's a bunch of different stuff out there. I think a couple places that would make sense. I know he's been rumored with the Phillies lately, so like that doesn't make sense to me, but it would get his payday because I think he's looking for that. It'll be interesting to see what he gets though, because if Darvish gets that and we think Darvish and Arrieta are on equal footing, we'll be surprised what he gets. I think a weird spot would be the Rangers. If they go him and Hamels at the top, their lineup's okay. I think they could make a run in the AL, so I think he's going to be looking for his money, but I think there's also some spots where he could put a team into a playoff race where they don't stand there currently.
We talk about how they're similar players, so it's funny you bring up the Rangers, Darvish's former team, because then Arrieta would kind of fill that void that the Rangers left when they traded him to LA, Darvish to LA. So, do you think there's so many teams out there that could get him? Like, I really don't want to predict one destination, but I think what I did predict once in the past with the Twins, I really don't know how much money they can dish out at this point, how much they have left, what their flexibility is. If they can afford Arrieta, that's probably where I'd predict him to go if I had to pick one place. So, Graz, prediction, Arrieta, where does he go?
Oh, that's right on the spot. Geez. Here's a prediction. I think Arrieta is the guy that's not going to like do the Scherzer thing and not sign right away. And there might be games played before he signs somewhere.
Ooh,
that's my prediction.
That's a take. But do you have like a destination once he finally signs?
Destination, always watch out for San Francisco whenever there's money on the line. They will always pay a pitcher.
Imagine that rotation, though.
Yeah.
Bumgarner, Arrieta, Cueto. Holy shit.
They're going for it one more time. So whenever there's money on the table, always look for San Francisco.
Listen, I've been down on the Giants because I think they got a bunch of like aging guys who would have been good in 2012. But if they do get a guy like Arrieta and they throw him in that rotation, that changes everything, I think. I mean, that's the best pitching rotation bar none if they get him. So a healthy Bumgarner to put on top of those guys.
One team that should be in on him, and it's his former team. I think the Orioles should be in on him. Like they need pitching. I know they suck, but
they refuse to ever have an ace, like a legit ace. They just don't. They like, you need an ace in the ML. You just need it to win a World Series. It's like a necessity, and they just refuse to bring one in. I don't get why, because Dan Duquette's the GM, and he's usually during his time with the Red Sox, he was the guy to bring like Pedro over. He was the guy. He made a lot of moves to help the Red Sox pitching staff back then. Ever since he's joined the Orioles, it's like we want no part of having a good pitcher at the front of our rotation. Instead we're going to re-sign Chris Tillman to a 1-year deal. Like,
I was about to bring up Chris Tillman.
Yeah,
you guys aren't big Chris Tillman guys.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Tillman.
Ubaldo Jimenez.
Ubaldo. Lit. Oh my God, don't get me started with Ubaldo Jimenez. That bomb he lit up to Edwin Encarnacion in the wild card game a couple of years ago will live on forever as my main. You want to talk about memories associated with players? That's it with Ubaldo. I don't care about his one good half of the season with the Colorado Rockies.
You're a big Rockies guy.
I'm a huge Rockies guy. And you know what? Ubaldo back that was actually pre-big Rocky guy days, I think. That was back when they were absolutely fucking terrible to watch. But Ubaldo Jimenez is straight up garbage. And the fact that they still trot him out there like he's like in his fucking prime is laughable to me.
He'll have 1 or 2 starts a year where he'll just have like unreal stuff, and then people will be like, "Whoa, Ubaldo, we gotta watch out."
Yeah, exactly.
7 strong. He'll strike out Sanchez and Judge each 4 times. Yeah, I know. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, you know what? The Orioles. That's another team that can make me lose this bet on last place. They're trash. They're straight up trash. You got something to say, Graz?
Tanking season. Tanking season. I'm getting this dollar.
We're wrapping it up here when it comes to signings and all that good stuff with the Mets. They signed Todd Frazier to 2 years, $17 million. I think we all expected Frazier to the Mets. That's the least surprising signing ever. They needed to move on from David Wright. We all love David Wright, but his time has come. He's on his way out. Todd Frazier's in. Good player to sign. I don't really have a ton of like things to say. It's just a good fit. That's really what it comes down to. It's a good fit. Good bat at third base. He's going to be, he lights up the clubhouses that he goes in, apparently. Like, that's what the story is for every place that he visits. So maybe he's the start to having some sort of good mojo for the Mets. Having some sort of good, feeling within that clubhouse, because I don't think that exists on a regular basis there. You guys got anything for Frazier?
No, I think it's what you said. It's a good fit. Like, I think we'll talk about it, but they got Jason Vargas as well. Yes. I'm a decently big Jason Vargas fan. Not huge, but I think he's good for what he is. And their rotation, like, if everyone meets their ceiling, which I know Mets fans will probably shoot themselves hearing that because they never do, their rotation is pretty strong. Like, if everyone hits their ceiling, I mean, it's one of the strongest in Major League Baseball if everyone hits their ceiling, which will never happen.
Things that are
It
said
happened once.
Things that are said about the Mets every year. You know what? That rotation, I'll tell you what, that rotation, if it lives up to it, I'll tell you, they're going to do something. But you know what? It never does. As just a baseball fan, I wish it would, because that would be awesome to watch Thor, Noah Syndergaard lead a rotation that actually has its full potential. But it probably won't happen. And you know what, Zach? I think I'm going to have to go back and just clip you saying I'm a decently big Jason Vargas fan, because that's sneaky one of the funniest things I've ever heard. I don't think anyone's ever said that. He actually had an awesome year. I don't know if it was,
oh my
it
God.
year?
Last year, yeah. He carried my fantasy team. Like, I just picked him up, and guy just went 7 strong and just gave up like 20 hits, but he gave up like 1 or 2 runs.
He reminds me of like a Irvin Santana, kind of. Like, he's so like, you look at his name, you're like, oh, like, he's whatever. Like, him and Irvin Santana both have that property, but then they'll go out and they'll shut you out in like a complete game, and you're like, what the hell just happened? They just leave your head spinning. So that's Jason Vargas. I mean, he helps. He gives you depth if you're the Mets, because at this stage, you just need a guy to put out there. They were putting guys out there to fill the void for all the injuries that they had that were letting up like 15 runs a game. So all around, Mets, good offseason with these 2 signings.
Did you hear that? I don't know if it was the Mets GM or owner said that he thinks Tim Tebow will make the major league roster at some point.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up, because I actually didn't even write it in our notes. Tim Tebow is making a comeback. The Tebow watch is fucking back on, baby. I am so happy that, I mean, it's the GM. It's not like a player. It's not like a guy just trying to be nice. It's the fucking GM who's saying, hey, guys, watch out. Tim Tebow is coming to the big leagues, baby. That is what's happening right now. And I am so excited that the Tebow watch is back on, because we had it going probably up until July last year, if I had to guess. And it kind of like died down. There was no more. I didn't expect Tebow watch segment to ever come back, but it's back on, baby. The Tebow watch is back on.
That's my favorite sound effect, so I'm excited.
What is it, like the heaven sound effect?
Yeah, the heaven sound effect is absolutely my favorite.
Yep, that's making a comeback as well. So lots to be excited about there. Hypothetically, 162 games. Tim Tebow gets to play it. What are his stats? Zach, you first. What are his average home runs, RBIs? If you want to throw in his OPS, you can do that too.
For a full year, if he was in the major leagues?
162 games.
Oh, fuck me. 190, 8 home runs, and 17 RBIs.
Really? Okay. I was going to say, like, he at least hits like 10 bombs. Like, I think he's just going to hit 10 bombs, like 150. His OPS will be around 675. He is going to end up in the pros, and it's going to be hilarious. I think he was on the Mets, so he can't DH. So he's had to play outfield at some point, and that's the part where I think would be a laughing stock, for sure. Now, the other part of this with Tebow is, how do you even, like, if you're Sandy Alderson, the GM, how do you even rationalize, like, does he have a plan in his head? Like, this is what I'm going to do to make Tebow. He obviously is not going to start, but I think he has something planned in his head where he's like, we're going to have Tim Tebow pinch hit, and our fans are going to go so insane. It is going to be like, once he gets brought up to the major leagues, they're going to have a sellout crowd, and it's going to be Tebow bobblehead night. That's what I picture when I picture Tebow in the big leagues.
Yeah, like I don't even get how this is a conversation. Like, this guy,
we're talking about Tim Tebow. We're talking about Tim,
2-time national champion.
Yes.
Like, when did the Mets become a sideshow organization? In the fact
literally forever. You don't live in New York. Literally forever.
Yeah, but like, when have they ever done this with players? Like, this is something like a sideshow This is something like the Oakland Raiders do, or like the Browns.
They used to let Darryl Strawberry have sex during games.
Yep, I was just gonna say that. I was gonna say
Tim Tebow is the polar opposite of that, of Darryl Strawberry.
Yes, in that aspect, yes. They have a 30 for 30, Zach, about just like a bunch of like guys who were getting like doing drugs and like doing all this other shit.
But they won. They ended up winning.
That's fair. Okay, that's fair. They ended up winning. But at the same time, it's just like, that's who the Mets are. It's just a bunch of fucking characters. It's like a carnival over there. It's insane. it's hilarious. Like, I love watching them. They're obviously like, I'd rather see them win than the Yankees, but I mean, I'm trying to think of like a team that kind of equates to them in other sports leagues, but nothing like pops in my head right now. But they are certainly a carnival. That's a good word for the Mets. They're just a carnival.
You want to know you want to know?
Yes.
They're the Knicks. The Knicks do the
So
same thing.
I was gonna say the Knicks, but I don't think they're. I mean, yes, they're dysfunctional. Like looking from like a higher up standpoint, like I forget the fucking name of the owner that everybody hates.
Oh, James Dolan, owner of
James Dolan. Yeah. So like I in that aspect, yes, but I'm thinking more of like they maybe like they have high expectations and then they're a complete disaster, and then there's the sideshow that goes along with it. Like I can't think of a team that's like that. I'm sure there are plenty though. So that's that. I want to move on to our mailbag. Graz's mailbag. You got some questions for us. How many questions did you say? Just unleash them. I want to hear
like 5 or 6. Not all of them at once, or do you want one at a time?
I'd go one at a time. I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah. Okay. Number 1, coming from my friend Anthony Moreno, wonderful human being. He asked, in light of the changes to the NBA All-Star game,
can I interrupt 1 second?
Yeah.
You introduced this guy as a wonderful human being, like each time. I know it's only the second time, but you did this last time.
Yeah.
This guy better be a wonderful human being, or else
comes from a good family.
All right, sorry, continue.
So the NBA changed their All-Star game. Would you ever consider? Do you think the MLB would ever consider doing a fantasy draft for baseball? And if so, who are your captains?
Well, I mean, the captains for the NBA is just the leading vote getters. Yeah. I mean, the captain part's easy for me. I think it's Harper and Trout. I think that's probably the consensus. Whether they would change it, whether they would, no, I don't think so. Whether they should, yes, I think so, because I think fan voting's absolute garbage.
Yeah, I'd love to see it like the Sandlot. Like everyone just lines up and they just pick teams.
Yeah, and
go.
The funny part too is that I think if Harper and Trout hypothetically were captains, that they would pick such different teams. Harper would go for, I think, like his buddies and like the big bats and like all that. And I think Trout would go for like who had the highest WAR this season. Like that's how I see them picking their spot, like going for speed instead of power, like going for the Jose Altuve's while the Harper goes for the Paul Goldschmidts, like that type of thing. But yeah, no, that's actually a really good question. I hope one day that they do it, but I don't think they will.
Neither do I. Okay, moving on. Not even thinking about it. Good question from my Red Sox friend Quinn. Okay. Who is the Red Sox X factor for them to be a championship level team?
I love the X factor questions. It's just like, who's the guy who's going to lead them to the promised land? The one guy. And it's funny you say X factor because Xander Bogaerts is my X factor this season. If he takes a huge leap from what he was last year, he was actually hurt for a lot of last year. He played with, I believe, a hand injury. Xander Bogaerts, this is his do or die year. If he sucks this year, he sucks. Like, that's the verdict on Xander Bogaerts. So that's the guy I would say is the X factor.
Yeah, I agree with Bogaerts in that I don't have high expectations for him because at this point I just don't believe in him. I think it's David Price. I think if he can return to anywhere near close to what he was before he came to the Red Sox, I think you have the best 1-2 combo pitcher in baseball. And then Pomeranz and Porcello are just okay. That's fine. You know, you just got to have those two guys to win.
Speaking of Pomeranz, do you guys see his workout videos? Fucking amazing. Electric. Absolutely electric videos. It's just the lightest weight that you can pick up, and he's making it look like he's like the best CrossFit guy in like the world. It's the lightest. No, I'm not exaggerating. It's like what your like grandmother uses to work out, but it's Drew Pomeranz, and it's awesome. I love it.
He strikes me as like a resistance bands guy at the gym.
Yeah.
Like he's not lifting heavy weights. He's like just doing that quick, like
yes, no, that's what the video is. That's
oh, really?
Like, literally, it's just him doing these like weird movements with small weights. It's hilarious. And just one more thing is David Price would have been my like runner up. Like that's the next guy for me is him. So next one.
No problem. Oh, for me, by the way, it's Mookie Betts. If Mookie Betts has a good year, you guys have a good year.
He's gonna have a good year. It's just like how good. Like how
like a great year. Like a great year. He needs like an Aaron Judge MVP kind of year. Okay, next question. From my former roommate Ed Tuig. Is 162 games and 3+ hours of baseball too much baseball? Because we're talking all about speed of the game, increasing the speed. It
Yes.
changes the
So
game.
I'm glad actually this question was brought up too, because we have the new pace of play rules. I think it's a limit of 6 mound visits. I love that rule. A lot of pitchers won't like that rule, but I love it because I do think that actually makes a significant impact. We have games. I mean, you've seen them, Graz, Red Sox, Yankees games. They'll visit the mound as much as they possibly can. And it gets to a point. I mean, like the crowd boos and all that stuff. It's just not good for the game. I get you have to strategize, but now you have to strategize even more. That's all it is.
Shit. Holy shit, we have breaking news.
Can it sound the breaking news alarm?
All right, here we go. From a source tweeted by John Heyman. D-backs have acquired Steven Souza from the Rays in a 3-team deal. Brandon Drury is headed to the Yankees.
Wait, Brandon Drury's Yankees? It's a 3-way deal?
3-way deal. D-backs, Rays, Yankees. That's what I know so far.
All right, immediate takeaways. I'll start here. The Rays are fucking selling.
Holy shit.
The Rays are saying, get everyone out. We want to finish. I mean, you want to up this bet? You want to double or nothing?
Oh, Graz. Yeah, this isn't good for your bet, dude.
That's unbelievable that happened during this podcast. So I know Steven Souza, he's not like a star or anything, but he's like the next
solid
best
player.
Yeah, he's like the next best thing you had. So now he's gone. They have no offense. So I thought you were going to say Brandon Drury went to the Rays, and I was going to be like, all right, whatever. But no. Nope.
Is he going to start at third for the Yankees, Drury? Like, is he going to be their third baseman?
Too hard. That's the idea.
I see Graz is like deep into this now. Like, what
sources.
Sorry, I'm reading.
Uh-oh.
All right. Yeah.
Graz breaking up a little bit. But anyways, we're going to, not to interrupt you, Graz, just don't want to be awkward. No connection here. I was saying about immediate takeaways. Rays trading Souza was exactly the type of reaction that we all would expect is what the fuck are they doing? But Drury to the Yankees, I actually think that's awesome for them. They need a third baseman, and they got him and Drury. So, and I've always been a fan of him on the Diamondbacks. So,
yeah, and it sounds like they're trying to get rid of Kiermaier and Colomé too. So, and Archer.
What?
Yeah,
is that the report?
No, they're saying they're trying to unload them too. So they're trying to get rid of fucking everyone.
Colomé is like sneaky, one of the best closers in baseball. Kiermaier speaks for himself. I'd be interested to see where he would land. But yeah, they're in fire sale mode. But the thing is about their fire sale is they're not trying to like bring it. Like, who are these young guys they're bringing in? I have never heard of like really any of them.
So the Rays are acquiring Nick Solak from the Yankees in this deal. I don't know who that is.
Graz, can you give us a prospect rundown of Nick Solak? Oh, Graz is just fucking frozen. I thought this whole time that he was just looking at his laptop, but he's gone.
So Nick Solak, I'll step up for you here, Graz.
Yeah.
He's the fifth rated second base prospect in MLB pipeline. So
okay, so that's a good prospect. Never heard of him, but that's a good prospect. Okay. I'm so rattled by Graz right now that I mean it's just perfect that it's Graz. That's what makes it even funnier. Okay, so that's the breaking news. The sucky part of this whole Graz thing is that we were in the middle of the mailbag. So now it's like I don't know what to do with my hands moment. It's like Ricky Bobby 2.0.
Yeah.
So for now, I'm going to, he just dropped out. So now that means he's making a comeback. We'll see how that goes. For now, if you had, this is just off the top of my head.
Let's do it.
If you had to pick where these remaining free agents go, gun to head, you don't have much time to think here. We already talked about Arrieta, but ready? I'm going to go with number 1, Mike Moustakas. Where does he? Graz is back, by the way. Yes, just real quick.
I'm gonna say he goes to the White Sox.
Okay, I'm going Cardinals. I already said that before. Logan Morrison.
Oh God, now that the Red Sox are out.
This one's tough because it's just Logan Morrison. Who fucking cares?
Yeah.
I could see like no, that wouldn't make any sense. I was gonna say like the Rays bring him back because that's such a Rays thing.
Can he go back to the Rays now?
Yeah,
I got some cap space. No.
Right.
I'll say Texas.
Okay. I'll go one more now that Graz is back. I'll go with Greg Holland here.
Oh, this is. I'm a big Greg Holland guy, especially since he was a Rockies. I'll go Oh God, I'll go Twins. I think they need I think they need bullpen help.
Okay. That was like a rain delay type thing. Like we were waiting for Graz to come back. So it's like, let's go to the remaining free agents. Who's gonna go where? All right, Graz, next mailbag question. Unless you have any input on Nick Zolak, the Yankees prospect.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I don't know who the fuck that is.
Okay. That's what we were
that's what I leaned in and said, and then it I think it scared my system so much.
That is great. All right, next question.
Mailbag.
Yeah, you can do the rest of the question. That's fine.
Okay, simple. Most interesting division race to watch this upcoming season.
Ooh, I like this question. I'm gonna go with NL. This is the top of my head. I'm gonna go with the NL West because I'm an NL West guy.
Yeah, I think that would probably be mine.
No, fuck. Sorry, I want to interrupt, but the Diamondbacks aren't going to be as good this year, probably. So I don't think the race is going to be as good last year.
Giants got better though.
Yeah, but are they like better than the Rockies? Are they better than the Dodgers? I think they're still
no
worse.
one's better than the Rockies. So
that is very true. All right, let me retry this. There actually aren't many good races this year. I'm gonna go with the NL Central. I think the Cubs Brewers are gonna be a really good race.
I'm gonna go with AL East just because I think that Red Sox Yankees trying to win the division this year is going to be big since the Red Sox won it the past couple of years. I can tell you the worst race will be the AL Central. I mean, the Indians should run away with that. There's not another good team in that division.
Yeah, for sure. I agree 100%. I was going to go AL East, but I didn't want to be like, go Red Sox Yankees rivalry, but like you did it for me, so it's okay. All right, next question.
NL Central is interesting. It would be my pick too because the Cardinals are better than you. Everyone forgets the Cardinals exist.
I still think they're third place, but I do think it's going to be similar to last year, where it's those three like battling it out.
And
Pirates are going to be absolutely atrocious this season.
But then you have America's favorite Canadian in Joey Votto, so always interesting.
That guy, I love Joey Votto more and more every day. He said, he was like, oh, do you have like, what were your goals this offseason? And he was like, to be fat. And I think I accomplished that. Like, he's just the man. He's just such a like down to earth, cool dude. It seems like anyway. So, and one of the best players in baseball. And it goes very under the radar that he is. Okay. Next.
All right. Last question.
All right.
I believe it's the last question. It is. Since this comes from Jack, since all of the contracts are all kind of screwed up this year, all the free agency, will Harper get the $500 million that we've been talking about next offseason?
These are good questions. These are really good. I hope we get more of these for future episodes. I'm going to go with yes, because I think there are teams like the Dodgers, Cubs, Yankees who are like, we really don't care. We just want you on our team. Like, I take the money. He's such a marketable guy. It's really not even about him, like his talent. Like, everyone knows he's a talented player, but he's such a marketable guy. You know how many Harper jerseys are going to be sold in any of those big markets? It's going to be absurd. So I'm going to go yes, but I do think that just because you're a big name now in general, you're not always going to get the money that you expect. I think he does get the money. I was going to do a little bit of a 180 there, but I think he does get the money.
I mean, Justin, you pretty much stole what I was going to say. I mean, people are going to sign him for his marketability, and they're going to make money off his jersey sales to match his contract. So I think that's the biggest thing. I think we're seeing that if you're over 30 years old, you're not going to get those big long-term deals. I mean, Hosmer is sort of a one-off here, but I think teams are a little bit more hesitant because they've been burned in the past of giving these older guys longer-term contracts, big money, and it's not really panning out. Just look at Pujols with the Angels, I think is a good example of that.
Yep. Just completely agree with that. That was your last question, Gross?
Yeah, and just to make you guys freak out a little bit, I talked about it this weekend with the same Jack, the same question, and I thought about it. What do the Yankees need? Left-handed power in between Stanton and Judge? That's video game shit right there.
I think actually they're gonna end up getting Machado. That's where I see them going. Not that that's like it's not like that's a huge downgrade. I mean, that's still awesome. Yeah. Oh, damn it. We got Machado instead. Like, I think you're going to be just fine. I see Harper going to the Cubs. I think where there's smoke, there's fire. So, and that's been sort of the rumor for the past 2 years now, is that he's going to go to the Cubs. So that's where I would have him going. And he's going to get his money no matter where he goes, my opinion. It's going to be a big market. He's not going to go to like some shit, he's not going to go
Padres?
Yeah, Him on the Padres would be a sight to see, but unfortunately that won't happen. Do we have a one last thing from Graz before we head out of here?
We do have a one last thing. My one last thing actually comes from America's favorite baseball talk show, Intentional Talk.
Great show.
Great show. Great program.
Would love to have one of those guys on.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out
Kevin
to
Millar.
Yeah,
Kevin Millar. You want to talk about morale builders? That's the guy who could build our morale even more.
And Chris Rose, friend of the program. I like saying that.
I do like. Yeah, great friend of the program.
My one last thing is they showed a video of Andrew McCutchen doing a Hunter Pence batting impression. And if you have not checked that out, now is a great time to check that out. The website or the Twitter thing I found it on was the radio station KNBR. They get the credit for it. Check that out. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Andrew McCutchen is a gem. I just hope he hits for them. Speaking
of McCutchen, he hit an absolute bomb off of Madison Bumgarner in batting practice today. So that's actually a good note to leave out on. That was sort of the spring training highlight of the day was McCutchen's absolute shot off of Madison Bumgarner. If you're a Giants fan, are you encouraged or discouraged by that? By McCutchen hitting a bomb off your best pitcher?
It's batting practice.
Yes. Yeah, I guess so.
72.
So, yeah, I mean, I didn't see, it's hard to see in the video, the speed of the pitch and, whatever. It's hard to see those details. But, I mean, yeah, I was going to say encouraged because McCutchen's not a guy, he's a question mark for you, and he's hitting bombs off your best pitcher.
I don't know if you guys saw it. ESPN wrote a big article on Ohtani, and he was saying he doesn't like batting practice over here because in Japan, they'd have pitchers throw, 90 to 100 miles an hour from the mound for batting practice, and over here they're throwing lobs so he can't hit them. I thought that was pretty funny.
That's how it should be. I don't know why they don't actually pitch realistically.
They need the jug machine.
Yeah, and I get you want to protect pitchers' arms and you want to do all that stuff, but I don't think you can get accustomed to major league pitching by hitting 70-mile-per-hour fastballs. That doesn't seem ideal. But I don't know shit. I'm not a pro, so I would never know. Contrary to popular belief, I'm not in the MLB. So stop saying that, everybody.
God, I'm seeing so many bad puns on Twitter now. People are saying Judge and Drury now that they have Brandon Drury.
Oh, no.
I can't.
The evil empire is back. The bad Yankee fans are back. I'm so excited. That means we're going to be good.
I can't listen to Judge and Drury all season long.
That's a T-shirt. That's a T-shirt. If we ever get in the merch business, that's
been trademarked 5 minutes ago.
Make sure you all stand up and for the Judge and Jury.
That will never happen.
That's getting close. That's not. I'll work on it.
I will say I'm a little bit angry about how well Judge and Jury works. That's really good.
I wish Jury was better. It would be better if he was better player.
It's very true. It's our big new addition is Brandon Drury. He's a solid player, but it's just Judge and Drury, baby. Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. That's basically the show. I don't know how soon we're going to go back to our weekly schedule here. Usually, last year, we did episodes on Mondays. They came out on Tuesday. I'm not sure when we're going to get back to that point. We still got a little bit of off season to go, but we'll be sure to let you guys know when we do. And of course, if there are any more big storylines, we still have some free agents on the table that need to get picked up. Don't know how that's going to happen at this rate, but we'll see. It seems like dominoes are falling, so it could be sooner rather than later. But other than that, I think we'll just wait to see what happens. And if you guys have anything to say it now or forever hold your, what's the saying?
Forever hold your peace.
Yeah, do that. Got anything else, guys? All right, then we'll see you guys later.
Peace.